a WYFF News 4 sports special.
I think every player here is competing, personally.
A new season of Carolina Panthers football.
We're trying to win. No matter who's in there, we want to win football games.
Big names join the team. And some big Carolina names back on the field.
Yeah, you got all the pieces. You just got to keep grinding, keep working.
Now, WYFF News 4 presents Panthers Kickoff.
Questions abound for the Carolina Panthers. After 2 seasons stuck in the mud, can they kickstart the Matt Rule era in year 3? Can former Gamecock greats on both sides of the ball bolster their units? Can one of the league's most dynamic superstars return to his historic heights? And can a new face at quarterback put the Panthers on the pace to the playoffs? Welcome to our WYFF News 4 Panthers Kickoff Special. I'm Mark Whiteman. Julia Morris will join us in just a moment. And let's tackle that last question first. In a move that came as little surprise, the Panthers named Baker Mayfield as their starting quarterback earlier this week. The writing's been on the wall from the time they acquired the former first overall pick from Cleveland in early July. But head coach Matt Rule crafted a training camp competition between Mayfield and Sam Darnold to earn the starting job. Baker pulled away in recent weeks and will aim to pull the Panthers forward starting week 1 against his former team.
Obviously, there's a lot of attachment there. I'm not going to, like I told you guys at Wofford, I'm not going to sit here and be a robot and say that it doesn't mean anything. It will, but right now all that matters is me and continuing to improve until this regular season starts.
We're hoping that he moves the offense. I mean, I don't want to make it too simple, but I mean, I think he's a guy that's accurate. He's a guy that's smart. He plays fast. He knows where to go with the ball. He's still adjusting to our mechanics, our footwork. So, I think making this move now gives him time to really kind of settle in with some guys.
As the Panthers close up the preseason tomorrow, Mayfield is expected to play into the second quarter.
Well, just 16 months ago, the Panthers traded for Sam Darnold with the hope he'd be the quarterback of their future. Last season, he started pretty well. In the first 3 games of the season, he threw 3 touchdown passes, rushed for 3 more, and only turned the ball over twice. Carolina had its first 3-0 start since 2015. But everything went downhill after Christian McCaffrey got hurt in week 3. Darnold finished the year with more turnovers than touchdowns. He got hurt in mid-November, and the Panthers signed Cam Newton. According to the Panthers, Darnold had a strong offseason and showed flashes throughout training camp. Even though Monday's news that he'd be the backup wasn't what he wanted to hear, he took it in stride, promising to do whatever he can to help the team as an understudy.
It's just tough whenever you go into camp, battling for a starting job, putting everything out there, to be the starter, and it doesn't go your way. I'm just going to continue to come in here every single day, get better, and like I said before, help Baker, give him everything he needs to go out there and perform.
Mayfield and Darnold were the top 2 quarterbacks drafted in 2018. Neither has been perfect, but Mayfield's been the better player by the numbers. They've both had issues with turnovers, but the former Oklahoma QB has more yards and more touchdowns than Darnold and helped the Browns to their first playoff win in more than 25 years back in 2020. One quarterback that won't be in the picture this season, Matt Corral, the 3rd-round rookie out of Ole Miss, was placed on season-ending injured reserve this week after suffering a Liz Frank tear in his foot. Coach Rule was non-committal on whether Carolina would keep a 3rd quarterback on the roster with P.J. Walker.
Now, Baker Mayfield is still getting used to his receivers, but he's developed a nice connection with Shi Smith so far. The Union County product, one of 3 Gamecocks on the roster with J.C. Horn and offensive lineman Dennis Daly. Smith could be in for a second-year jump. He has had a strong preseason. Took a timeout to share his thoughts on how it's gone.
Shi, what did you learn about yourself during your rookie season that you can apply to the second year in the NFL?
Just the small things, on and off the field, just like eating right, getting my body right, learning the playbook, so like I won't have to think while I'm out there. I can just play fast and let the athleticism take over.
You went from being a guy that kind of carried the offense your last couple of years at South Carolina to trying to fit in where you could. How was that as an adjustment during your rookie season?
Oh, man, it was hard, man, coming in from being the top guy then to a guy that's just here kind of. It was tough a little bit, but I had some guys like JC that went 8th pick overall, Dennis that was already here that I was at South Carolina with. So it made the transition a little bit more smoother, just knowing that I got some guys that I already trust and already know and stuff like that. So I feel like it made it smoother and made it a little bit more easy.
We've heard a lot about you, man. You're turning heads in camp. You've made quite a bit of plays. How do you feel this second training camp in the NFL has gone for you so far?
Man, I feel a lot better. I feel like it's going a lot smoother than the first year. But I'm just coming out here, man, staying consistent. I'll do what I got to do.
You're a guy who spends a lot of time after practice signing autographs, connecting with fans. Why is that something that's so important to you?
Man, just so humble. Just coming from a small town, like this could have been anybody else in my position.
Is that a point of pride for you to be a kid from Union County who's made it to this level? As a guy from South Carolina, hey, all you got to do is work hard and stay focused. And kids out there, you guys could do the same thing one day.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I take big pride in that. Just cause like when I was coming up, I had guys like in my ear, it was like he not gonna make it and stuff like that, or he can't make it out of Union and stuff. So just to prove them wrong, man, it made me feel great.
Just this week, Matt Rule said Smith is contending for a starting spot on this year's team. We will see soon enough. Those Gamecocks, the only Panthers with Palmetto State ties. Andre Roberts entering his 13th NFL season. He grew up in Columbia, played college ball at the Citadel. He is 34 years old, still one of the league's most dynamic returners, 3 All-Pro seasons in the last 4 years. He should give Carolina's special teams a jolt this season. We're just getting going. Still to come, the outside perspective is that the hot seat has been cranked up on Coach Rule. How will his team respond? But when we return, Julia's exclusive interview with South Carolina standout J.C. Horn, hoping to make a leap and stay on the field this fall. You're watching our Panthers preseason special. We'll be right back.
We just got to keep grinding, keep working, work on communication, work on technique and stuff, and, you know, sky's the limit.
Panthers cornerback J.C. Horn knows all about the grind. The former Gamecock skyrocketed up draft boards in 2021 after a special campaign in Columbia and insane performances in pre-draft workouts. But after just 3 games as a rookie, he broke his foot and spent the rest of the year in recovery and rehab. He's healthy now and ready to play a big role this season. Well, JC, a few weeks into your rookie season, you hurt the foot, you're shut down for the year. What went through your mind at that time dealing with the injury last season?
At that time, I was just, frustrated when I got the news about breaking my foot. And I was really just thinking, ready for the next day, ready to start to come back, get the surgery over with, and just go through the necessary process to, be back here today.
What got you through that rehab process?
Really just, it was in the middle of the season, so I was watching a lot of football, watching a lot of tape, being around the guys, still having that team, family feel. Even though I couldn't be out there, it was good to still be around them in meetings and things like that. And then, obviously leaning on family and friends to get through that, process.
How's the foot feeling now?
It's feeling great. It's feeling great. I'm happy to be back out here competing, having fun, and it feels good.
The defense last year was pretty solid, but struggled at times in the red zone. How do you think this group can get better at red zone defense this season?
Just practicing it, number one, and then just, being aware of, when we get in the red zone, we struggled in this area last year. This has to be expensive territory. Got to make offenses work for it. And just having that mindset when we get in the red zone in the game and accomplishing that.
What are your goals for this season?
For me, just winning. Taking the necessary steps on defense to becoming a better defense, taking the ball away, producing more turnovers, having good red zone defense, holding teams to 3. And that, hopefully that translates to wins, and that's all I want to do, because I feel like when you're winning, all the personal goals take care of themselves.
I think someone who knows a little bit about winning is your girlfriend, Bree Beal. She won a national championship with the South Carolina women's basketball team just a few months ago. You got to witness that run and be there when they won the national title. What was that like for you, seeing that?
It was motivating, just seeing you know, the hard work they put in, seeing it all pay off on that one night in Minnesota, confetti coming down, just seeing everybody's reactions and stuff like that. It was just, you know, a wholesome experience that I definitely want to experience.
You're a proud Gamecock, and there are a few Gamecocks on this team with you, Shi Smith, Dennis Daly. What's it like going to work with those guys every day?
It's fun. You know, familiar faces. We've been going at it for, you know, four or 5 years, including college. So it's fun to see them out here, you know, playing hard, making plays, and I'm sure they happy to see me doing that as well.
And what would make this season a successful one for you personally and for the team as a whole?
I think for everybody is winning. That's the common denominator. We want to win. I want to win. The coaches want to win. Everybody in the building who attached to the Panthers want to win. The fans. So I feel like if we do that, you know, that'll be a successful season.
And one thing that really stood out from that interview, Horn said the Panthers defense has to make sure to treat the red zone like expensive real estate this year. Even though Carolina had the second best total defense in the NFL last year, its red zone defense was the third worst in the league.
Now, while Horn's spot on this Panthers team is safe, for guys down the roster fighting to make the team, it helps to have a night like Tay Hayes did last Friday. Hayes has Carolina ties. He played college football at App State and turned 25 on the same night. He made the play of the game for Carolina, intercepting a pass and returning it 50 yards for a touchdown. He was undrafted in 2019 and has bounced around practice squad since, but he's left an impression on Matt Rule and the Panthers.
Was a really good football player. You know, he was with us last year for a little bit. You know, he's soaking up now. It's part of the preseason. The guys get a chance. But, you know, the thing about Tay is he makes plays, and he made a play last week in the game. A couple plays. He makes plays in practice, and he made play today. So he's challenging right now.
Neither did you.
Now, Shaq Thompson doesn't have to fight for a spot like Hayes. The linebacker was activated off the physically unable to perform list last week. He is a former first-round pick. He finished second on the team in tackles last year. But it is Brian Burns who has become the unquestioned leader of this Carolina defense. And during his fourth season in the NFL, the disruptive defensive end has back-to-back 9-sack seasons and is the only Panther so far to be ranked in the NFL Top 100, an annual player-voted list of the best in the league.
Well, still to come, we caught up with Carolina's first-round pick, Ike Ekwonu, about playing for his hometown team, plus a special opportunity earlier in camp for one upstate high school program. But when we return, we're laying out our expectations for the upcoming season and what has to go right for the Panthers to get back to the playoffs.
Well, I think, you know, at the end of the day, you know, between soccer, between the concerts, between football, to me, like, it's been tremendous to see the atmosphere, to see people coming out. So, you know, I'm happy everyone's here. Even the guy saying fire Matt Rule right now, I'm happy that everyone's out here. Our players worked hard. They deserve it, man.
Everyone's a critic. Apparently even the guy that shows up to a practice to boo the head coach. Matt Rule making light of an awkward moment at FanFest earlier this month. It is no secret some fans are ready to move on. Others believe Rule is on the hot seat heading into year 3 after back-to-back 5-win seasons.
Owner David Tepper has expressed patience in the rebuild. Rome wasn't built in a day, he quoted earlier this offseason. But despite those comments, he was reportedly unhappy with his head coach last season.
Yeah, Julia, no question. This is the most talented team the Panthers have had under Rule. And if you buy recent history, there's reason to believe he can get it turned around. Prior to the Panthers, Rule developed a reputation as a program builder in college, and year 3 was when things took off at both Temple and Baylor. Rule won 16 games combined over his first 2 seasons with both the Owls and Bears, but reached double-digit wins in his 3rd season at both stops, including Temple's first 10-win campaign in 36 years. So a lot of questions heading into this season, Julia. What do you think this Panthers team can accomplish?
Yeah, I think that they're capable of accomplishing a lot depending on how Baker Mayfield does, obviously. I think the quarterback play, definitely something to look for. But in talking about Matt Rule and seeing that progress in year 3, I mean, that's why the Panthers hired Matt Rule, to build from the ground up. But time's really running out. I mean, this is a make or break year for him. If the Panthers have a bad start, I don't see how Matt Rule is sticking around. So that's definitely something to watch watch for this season.
Yeah, I think that's so well said. 3 quarterbacks in 3 years. The talent is there. If they can stay healthy, they've got a chance to really turn this thing around this year. But you're right. You gotta get out of the gate quickly, because negativity will start to bounce up pretty quickly thereafter. Let's talk a little bit about Christian McCaffrey. It might seem like oversimplifying things, but he really is the straw that stirs the drink here. We know what he can do. We remember that historic season of 2019, just the 3rd player ever to have 1,000 yards rushing and receiving in the same season. He's great early last year. They start 3-0. He gets injured, and the season goes off the rails.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Christian McCaffrey, one of the best running backs in the NFL, one of the most talented, but his health has been an issue over the last 2 seasons. 3 years ago, he led the league in scrimmage yards and set an NFL record for the most receptions by a running back. Since then, he's played in just 10 games over the last 2 seasons. If he can stay healthy, McCaffrey can provide a spark for Carolina's offense, which was the 3rd worst in the league last year. They've invested more in the offensive line this season, which should help McCaffrey, including spending the 6th overall pick on offensive tackle Ike Ekwonu. And Mark, of course, we have to talk about our keys to the season. Just going off of that, you know, the health we mentioned, I'm going to touch a little bit on that. But what do you think your keys for the season are?
Yeah, if you've ever watched WYFF, you know 4 is a big part of our branding here. So we're going to do 4 keys to the season. I'll do 2. Julie will do 2. 2 + 2, 4. Some quick arithmetic there. Let's jump right into mine. Matt Rhule has talked about his defense going from good to great this year, as we show you that full screen. There we go. I think the defense needs to take next steps defensively this year. They were 2nd in yards allowed, but 30th in the NFL in red zone defense. Can they improve enough in that area to turn some of those touchdowns into field goals? On the other side of the ball, the Panthers had one of the worst offensive lines in football last year. As you just mentioned, Ike Ekwonu, they've invested heavily there. If they can stabilize up front, protect Baker, give McCaffrey some room to run, I think they'll be much better offensively.
Yeah, and my first key, I mentioned it. It's pretty cliche, but this team has to stay healthy. That's been a real issue for the franchise over the last few years. Panthers need Christian McCaffrey to stay on the field, and players they've invested in like J.C. Horn and Ike Ekwonu, they need to see that return on investment with them staying on the field. And then, of course, quarterback accuracy. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, they've struggled to take care of the football at times in their career. They need to limit interceptions for Carolina's success this season.
We're closing up shop after the break. We just talked about him, Ike Ekwonu. He's talking with Julia about adjusting to life in the league.
Plus, the Gaffney football team worked out with the Panthers at camp this year. The Indians reflect on that special opportunity.
Hey, welcome back as we wrap up here. Julia, a lot of optimism around this team surrounds 21-year-old Ike Ekwonu.
Yeah, after selecting defensive players in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft for 3 straight years, this year the Panthers went in a different direction, picking the offensive lineman out of NC State, 6th overall. Matthews, North Carolina native, is hoping to help his hometown team turn things around this season. Well, Ike, it's your first training camp. How have you felt adjusting to life in the NFL?
I felt good. You know, I feel like I'm learning each and every day. You know, trying to pick the brains of all the best I can. You know, guys that have, been here and done that. So I'm just looking forward just to growing each and every day.
I want to go back to draft night. Obviously, it's every player's dream to hear their name called during the NFL draft. That happened for you, and you also got drafted by your hometown team. What was that moment like for you and your family?
I mean, it's still surreal. Every time someone asks me that question, I just get that feeling again, just like seeing that 704 number, seeing my mom in there crying, saying that you're going home, just like everything just comes flooding back. So honestly, it's something that's going to be, a memory for a lifetime.
And you grew up a Panthers fan. What's one memory that stands out, maybe a game you went to or something that you remember from your childhood watching the team that you're now playing for?
Definitely the NFC Championship back in 15, beating the Cardinals in the way that we did, in the fashion that we did. Obviously a home playoff game, just the energy in the city was just electric and something that, the memory I've held on to for a long time. So that was probably one of the most special games I've been to.
I think a lot of people want to see this team get back to that point. What's it going to take for this team to be really competitive this season?
I feel like, just buying into the whole competition thing, just making sure that we come out here each and every day, just working on their craft and, to make each other better. Iron sharpens iron. That's something that has come from the top down. It's something I believe in as well. So just making sure that we come out here and anytime we go against good on good or just anytime we go against each other, making sure that we just sharpen each other up.
Obviously, a hot topic of camp has been the quarterback situation. What have you seen from Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield on and off the field?
I mean, both great men, great teammates, guys that aren't shy of competition. You know, they're going to believe it all out there on the field, and they're not shy to lead either. So, you know, two great quarterbacks, two great guys, and, you know, I'll be excited to block for either one.
How are they both as leaders? Is one more vocal than the other, lead by example? Kind of what are some of the differences you see between them as well?
Not too many differences, honestly. You know, they both know how to command the huddle and, you know, lead us and, you know, lead us in the right direction. So, you know, big shout out to both those guys.
You mentioned working on your pass set earlier. What are your goals heading into this season?
I mean, just being the most complete player I can be. You know, obviously coming in, my biggest strength is my run blocking, and my pass blocking kind of took a backseat a little bit, you know, in the evaluators' eyes and my eyes as well. So just making sure that, you know, week one, I'm as a complete player as I can be in this league.
You've been with this team for a little while now. If you could think of one word to describe this group, what would it be and why?
Ooh, I say probably the tough or competitive. Two these words. You know, we're always talking. We're always, you know, like I said, talking and just working on and just, you know, just love hitting each other. But when it's in the locker room, it's all love. Even on the field, it's all love after reps. You know, dudes might get beat a rep and then go back and ask them what they did wrong. And, you know, so it's a lot of competition, a lot of teaching going on here. So it's something that I feel like it's going to lead to a very great team.
That's a great interview. Big kid, big personality. Looking forward to see what he can accomplish this year.
Yeah, I think he'll have a lot of highlights for the Panthers this season. Well, one upstate high school football team had the opportunity of a lifetime at Panthers training camp this year.
Yeah, the defending 5A state champs, the Gaffney Indians, practiced with Carolina in Spartanburg as part of the NFL's Play Football Month initiative. There was a joint warm-up session before each squad went to separate fields for practice. At one point, Panthers players gathered around Gaffney while it was scrimmaging to cheer them on.
You know, this is the dream of a young kid, the position that those guys have. And, you know, just for our kids to be able to step on the field, even me, I've not been on the field with a pro football team. So worthwhile cause, and I hope the NFL does this a lot more.
You know, kind of coming out here, seeing these guys that you watch on TV, you see the highlight clips on Twitter and that kind of stuff. But, you know, I think it's a blessing and opportunity to be a part of it. To Coach Jones and the Panthers organization can put it together. You know, we couldn't ask to have a better head coach in Coach Jones, and he gives his kids the best opportunity.
How about those Gaffney Indians? Thanks for watching. Have a good night.